Do you know the #1 spot you should never carry a gun on your body? Hey, Caleb here, the founder of Patriot Training Center, and today I want to share with you a little concealed carry tip. Perhaps if you're searching for a way to carry your gun, or you're kind of new to this, or you're just kind of switching things around and trying out different things to see what works for your body type and concealing stuff. Today I want to talk about the #1 place that I think you should never carry a gun on your body. Now, when it comes to personal protection and concealed carry and tactical gun stuff, whatever, I hesitate to use the word never or always, because almost all the time it depends, or sometimes, or let's see, it's a personalized solution. But I do feel pretty strongly about this, and I think it's a good tip for basically everybody, okay? On this channel, I've talked about carrying guns in different ways. I personally carry appendix these days here in the front, but strong side is how I used to carry over here, whatever hand it is, 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. And then some people have the strong side that kind of goes a little bit back, and we'll get to that in a minute. Those are pretty much the best ways to carry a gun. Inside the waistband, I think, works for most people better to conceal a gun. Of course, this is all clothing and concealment dependent, and your body type and all that type of different stuff. And generally though, what I'm gonna recommend is for a strong side or appendix is pretty good for just about everybody. Now, having said that, there are other ways that you can carry a gun, and we've explored some of them on this channel. We have shoulder holsters, we have ankle holsters, and cross draw. Like, some of that stuff may have a simple use case, or pocket carry, not so great when you're sitting down. So every one of these things has like advantages and disadvantages, but for some people, some of the time, depending on their situation, again, everything is like kind of an it depends answer. Those may be good for you, but I do think there is one carry position that pretty much doesn't work for everybody. And even on this channel, I've covered off-body carry with a fanny pack, which works for me when I'm going to the gym or the beach or whatever it is that I can't be wearing normal clothes. Inside the waistband holster, even off-body carry, even though it's not as good as on-body carry, I think with a fanny pack is another solution that could work for some people. This is one thing that most people shouldn't do, but I really do feel kind of strongly about it. So what is this position? I'm talking about small of the back carry. So right here over your spine, pretty much I think is a no-go. I think that's a bad position to carry a gun, and here is why. #1, and this is a huge one, is safety. The majority of accidents that happen with people that hurt themselves with their own gun at the range, practicing, or whatever, comes from shooting themselves, either unholstering and getting the gun out, or reholstering and putting the gun back in. So reholstering, the way that we teach it, is fingers off the trigger, and then you're always going to look the gun into the holster and moving your body out of the way as much as you can. With appendix, you saw that I pushed my hips forward so that the muzzle is pointing away from my body when I reholster. If I'm carrying strong side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to scoop my hip out to the side and point the muzzle away from me, and I'm going to look the gun into the holster. This gets to be extremely important when we're carrying inside the waistband and we have concealment garments, because it's very easy for something to get inside the holster, and then you go to put the gun back, and there's a little hang up, and you got to push it in to get it settled, and then boom, that's how accidents happen, okay? So it's very important to look a gun into the holster. So, #1, safety-wise, holstering in the small of your back, you cannot see the holster. So to me, that's a no-go. Just for that reason there, I would not recommend it. Going on with the safety, there's no real way to safely draw the gun and keep the muzzle pointed in the direction of the bad guy. If we're strong side, we're drawing the gun up here to position 2, and then the muzzle is angling towards the target, towards the thing that we've decided we need to shoot, and then we push the gun out. If we're carrying appendix, the same thing, we're drawing it, and then we're pressing it out. The muzzle's staying in that direction where we want the bullets to go. If you're carrying in the small of the back, whether it's vertical alignment or whether it's on the side like this, you're muzzling lots of other stuff just to get the gun in front of your body. That is a big issue, especially if you were to come to a training course like we have at Patriot Training Center, and you have a lot of people on the line with you. You'd have to muzzle the people right next to you every single time just to get the gun in front of your body. And if you're pulling it up and you're trying to keep it close, then you have your entire body that you gotta kind of avoid. I think there's very big safety issues with that. #2, I do not think this is going to be comfortable for the majority of people, and it could actually be bad for your body. So maybe standing up, this would be a comfortable position because it's kind of there in the hollow of your lower back, so it's out of the way. But if you have to sit in a car or sit in a chair like all of us do throughout our daily life, this is a really bad spot for it to be, and it's going to be digging into your lower back. That's something I definitely do not want. Plus, it could even hurt your body if you fall on your back in some type of defensive scenario. Then you could land with this hard gun between you and the hard ground and right into your spine, and that's just a bad thing. Next, I think printing is a huge deal. With strong side carry or with appendix, it's kind of easy to see if you're printing. You can just kind of look over here, check your shirt to see if you're printing. With appendix, it's even more discreet. You can just kind of look at your shoes and see if you're printing. With the gun behind you, you can't really tell what your shirt's doing, what your clothing's doing, and if you're printing. With strong side carry, for example, if I've been down to pick up my kids or something like that, it's very easy for the butt of the gun to stick out here every time that I bend my waist. So you got to kind of squat down and do the concealed carry squat if you're at the grocery store, like looking on the bottom shelf or something like that. So if the gun's in the small of your back, you're even worse. You have no visual over the gun and how it's printing or anything like that. So I think printing is a big issue. Now, most people are just so completely unaware of what's going on around them. They have their heads in their cell phones. So printing, many people don't think is a big issue, but bad guys have been known to see people printing because bad guys carry guns and bad guys are kind of switched on and they're looking for victims. So this has happened where bad guys have seen printing, have seen a handgun printing, and then they decide that they're going to take that gun and they're going to make it their gun. So that brings me to the next point. This is a very bad spot for a gun to be in an entangled gunfight and for retention because it's at the back of your body. So number one, your eyes are in the front of your head, so it's much easier to deal with attacks that come from the front. Any attack that comes from the back, you can't see, so you're already at a disadvantage. And because you have no visual on the gun, it's very hard to see like if someone's going for it. The second part to that is the position of your shoulder and your elbow when you're going to defend any type of like gun grab if you're in an entangled gunfight, right? If somebody's trying to get your gun from you, then you want to keep your gun on you and you want to be able to get your hand on it. Now, strong side, your shoulder's in a pretty neutral position here. Depending on how far back it is, this gets worse, so it starts to get into those same problems with small of the back carry. But basically, your shoulder's in a pretty neutral position, and your elbow's here, and it's kind of flared out, which isn't great. If you do any type of grappling, you know that your elbow should stay close to your torso. That's the safest position for them to be. But anyways, it's not so bad. With appendix, it's even better. I like this aspect of appendix carry. It's very easy to defend gun grabs because like everything's right here in my center line, and I can see who's going for the gun, and it's very easy to defend from the front. But again, with small of the back carry, you have no visual, you're fighting for a gun back here, and you're putting your shoulder already in like a Kimura lock, shoulder lock type position that if you've done any grappling, again, this is a very like weak position for your shoulder to be in. It kind of hurts me to even do this, especially if you've been bench pressing and stuff like that, or you have bad shoulders, or you're getting older or whatever. This is a very weak position for your shoulder to be in. So it's very bad for entangled gunfights and weapon retention. Finally, and I kind of put this at the bottom of the list because I don't want you to think this is all about like gaming or performance shooting or something like that, but it is slower. It's got to be slower. If you really think about it, if you got to get the gun into your eye line to make hits on a target, then anything that is closer to that position is going to be faster. That's why for most people, appendix carry is a little faster than strong side carry. So the closest position, the straightest line between the gun being in your eye line with the target and to your holster is right here in front of you. And then the second closest position is going to be strong side. A position, if you carry small at the back, it's going to be slower no matter what. So those are my reasons why I think small at the back carry is a no-go. I do not recommend it, and I don't think you should do it. And I have a bonus tip for you here. You got to be careful when you're carrying strong side that you don't end up kind of in the small at the back carry position. See, with a lot of us, when we're carrying strong side, actually being right directly on the side center line doesn't work for us. We kind of take the holster and we move it back just a little more towards like our butt area here or like our hip, which is fine. But then I've seen people kind of like overdo this and it ends up all the way back here on their back. And we kind of start to run into the same issues. You're sitting in a car that really doesn't feel good, and then you have to reach back here every single time to grab the gun. It's slower. It's very easy to get hung up in your concealment garment. And then again, the reholstering thing, we see it all the time in classes. We have to remind people, always look the gun back into the holster. You need to be safe when you're reholstering. Again, that's one of the most dangerous parts about firearms training is getting the gun back in the holster. And the further back you go, the more you run into those issues where you have poor visual confirmation of putting the gun back in the holster safely, okay? So that's just a bonus tip. Be careful with strong side carry, that you don't shift it back too far, and try to figure out a good holster system that works for you to conceal it so you don't have to go too far back. So like I said, that's the one place I think you should never carry a gun on you. Again, I hesitate to say never because every situation is different and so many of these answers are like, it depends, okay? Because it depends on so many things, but I feel pretty strongly about this, so let me know what you think in the comments. And remember, it does not matter where you carry a gun. If you don't practice with it, then you won't be good. It's kind of simple, right? That's why we have a free dry fire program that's down in the description below. Just go ahead, click the link, sign up now, and we'll get that to you free, and I will see you in the next video.